opening the doors of spirit wide. We are walking into light, starting out together on a journey through the miracles inside. There is abundance in our fellowship. This is a place we all belong. We place our trust in this great holiness. This is the moment, come along. We are gathering in song, welcoming the oneness, opening the doors of spirit wide. We are walking into light, starting out together on a journey through the miracles inside. There is a promise in our thankfulness. We know that when we seek, we find. We place our trust in this great holiness. This sacred space is yours and mine. We are gathering in song, welcoming the oneness, opening the doors of spirit wide. We are walking into light, starting out together on a journey through the miracles inside. We are gathering in song, welcoming the oneness, opening the doors of spirit wide. We are walking into light, starting out together on a journey through the miracles inside. On a journey through the miracles inside.
Welcome to Unity Comox Valley, a positive path for spiritual living. Thank you for heeding whatever called you here today. Thank you for giving life and expression to your divine nature, and in so doing, contributing your goodness to the world. Thank you for being consciously on the path of spiritual transformation and letting your unique light shine. Unity has 5 principles that pretty much underpin everything that we do. It's our foundation. It's our, we bring them into alignment, ourselves in alignment with us and all of our activities. And when I first started in Unity, of course, what was one of my tasks was to memorize these 5 principles. And so it took some time, to remember them and the order and the wording and stuff like that. But then recently I came across a really interesting shortcut. The Unity 5 principles in 10 words. God is, I am, I create, I pray, I act. Unity started with the realization of what today we refer to as oneness. And they taught that each one of us is a unique expression, a unique way of manifesting that oneness and that one presence. So one of the ways that we remember our divine connection is through affirmative prayer, which is one of the 5 Unity principles. We have an arm of Unity called Silent Unity, which is a 24-hour prayer service that is available to everyone. And over 2 million people contact Silent Unity every year for prayer support. So every month, Silent Unity creates what they call a prayer service. And they have they go through the different kind of categories of prayer that we are often are on our minds, like peace and love and prosperity and health and those kinds of things. And you can access this. The link is in the newsletter. So if you just click on February prayer service, it'll bring you to the entire service, and you can use it as a foundation for your prayer and meditation time. So today I would like to use some of the prayer service for February. Bring us together in our hearts and souls. And so if you would join me, please, and listen to these words. Love, the spiritual power at the center of our being, is our prayer and our practice. Focusing attention in our heart center, we unite in divine love as we pray together. I relax and breathe. With every breath, my body responds by becoming peaceful. My nervous system relaxes. Body processes slow, and my mind stills. I become keenly aware of God as love in the heart of me. I am love. By the power of divine love, I foster harmony and unity in all situations. All that I need to know arises in the harmony of divine love. Divine love flows from me as a spirit of generosity. I know that as I give generously, I enter the flow of abundance. Every good possibility comes into view as I swim in the stream of abundance. I am one with infinite love, one in the love that knows all. The love I am cherishes and nourishes all of life. I am love. As we close this period of prayer, we breathe in peace, love, vitality, generosity. We confidently bless ourselves and one another as we breathe together in divine love, the love that unites us. And we close with our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. We are the light. The love of God enfolds us. We are the love. The power of God protects us. We are the power. The presence of God watches over us. We are the presence. Wherever we are, God is. We know this is so, and so it is. Amen. Silent Unity prayers are an amazing and wonderful resource. Sometimes when we feel called to enter into a time of prayer and perhaps we don't have our words, the words that we would wish to, right at our fingertips, we can just access these prayers. They're available for us all the time. Well, this week we continue. We are on our 5-week series. We're going to hear from Pat Clarkson. We are working from the book, playing really with the book from Wendy Craig Purcell called Ask Yourself This, which is full of thought-provoking questions. Pat will be exploring the questions related to relationships, a relationship with ourselves and relationship with others. Our friends at Unity Victoria are also hearing the same talk, and this is one of the ways that we foster relationships on Vancouver Island. First, a song to remind us of our divine connection.
You and I are so connected. Heart to heart, a golden thread. Through it we can feel love. Through it we unite as one. You and I are so connected. Heart to heart, a golden thread.
Let me start the Sunday talk by saying good morning to Unity Comox Valley. This week, when I was thinking about the talk, I thought, I am so blessed. I have both my spiritual families, Unity Comox Valley and Unity Victoria, with me this morning. And I am blessed. I want to talk about Reverend Vicky's talk last week. I find that Reverend Vicky's style of talking, her words, create an awareness within me to go look within. And so last week it was a comment that said something, what if we are living a meaningful life without obligation and responsibility, without feeling that obligation and responsibility? And I went, oh yes. And that, of course, it was related to the question, why can't it be easy? And so thank you again, Reverend Vicky, because you got me looking. You got me aware enough to say I want to look within. So thank you. This week, I'll be talking about ask yourself this to improve your relationships. Ask yourself this to improve your relationships. And I looked up the definition of relationship, and it's a coming together, and the word beside it was connection. So the purpose of this talk and these questions that we're going to look at is looking at your part of the connection. How well are you doing on your part of the connection? So there's 7 questions, and I'm going to go through all 7 and touch on them. And if you have one that just kind of calls to you and you're not sure why, jot it down. Jot it down. And I love Reverend Wendy Craig Purcell's comment about let it simmer. And I thought, let it simmer like a pot of homemade soup. And Mary and John, I thought of you this week and your fantastic homemade soups. So you certainly were with me this week. And so the first question to help you improve your relationships is, who am I trying to change? Who am I trying to change? And another way of saying that is who is your project? Who is your project? And I never heard that. I've heard who have you tried to change, but who is your project? I've tried to change people in my life, but didn't think of them as a project. But as I thought about it, there was an outcome I wanted, and I had a plan in place, and watching their languaging and what they were doing. And I think of my 2 sisters. I am the oldest one, so I felt wiser and knew much more than them, and spent the first 32 years of my life making sure that they knew I could help them have a better quality of life, have better physical health, and how to get along with me better. And from my position looking in at their lives, they really needed my help. And what drove my behavior was that if you love somebody, you need to be willing to step in and help them. Help them when you see they're struggling or they need to improve. And so my driving motivator was love, not the love we talk about in Unity, but love, this love. And if they did not do as I suggested they did, quite strongly, because I was very controlling and judgmental, I would get hurt, like deeply hurt. And that hurt would turn to anger. And then I'd say, look at them. Look what I'm doing for them. And this is how they treat me. In all those years, I never considered that they hadn't asked for my help. That wasn't even in the picture, that they hadn't asked. I just volunteered. People don't change because we want them to change. People have to choose to change. Now, in some situations, when the person that's trying to change them is around, they'll act in the new behavior, but as soon as you leave, they just go back to being who they want to be anyhow and doing the behavior you were trying to change. Lasting change only happens when the pain of staying the same as you are is greater than the pain of changing. So I'm going to say that again. I remember my dad telling me this 45 years ago. People only change when the pain of staying as you are, doing what you're doing, becomes greater than any pain you're going to experience when you try to change. So as for my sisters, when I was 32, I wrote both of them a handwritten letter. And because I didn't feel that a verbal apology would work. They needed to see it in writing. I had really harmed them. I had treated them like they weren't capable or good enough or had enough brains. And so I apologized for my behavior, for my controlling, for my judgment. And I said to them that I was going to love them this time by letting them be who they were. And if they needed my help, they'd have to ask for it. I wasn't going to jump in anymore. Although I did buy each of them a plaque that said on it, "I am your sister and you can't do anything about that." And I did notice they both hung it in their respective living rooms. So, who are you trying to change? Who have you made a project? And if you've ever been a project, how does it feel? How does it feel? I didn't like it, because I know it was someone's project once. So the next question is, how much room do I give people to grow and change? How much space, room do I give them to grow and change? Or do I hold them hostage to their past? Do I hold them hostage to when they made a mistake 20 years ago, or a flaw, something I don't like about them? Do I hold them hostage? Do I have a really good memory for the things I don't like about them, and then conveniently not have any memory for the good that's within them, but a real poor memory for that? If you've ever been held hostage in any of these ways, it's much like, are you someone's project? Does not feel good. Does not feel good. One of the questions that came up to me when writing this was, have I ever held myself hostage? Have I ever held myself hostage? And I have. Like when I make a mistake, I don't see it as a mistake. I see it as a character flaw. And I condemn myself and I berate myself. So, yes, I have held myself hostage. And do you know someone that they have perceived a flaw within themselves, and they just say, well, nothing I can do about it. This is just who I am, so just accept me. I went to my sister Terry's retirement party, farewell tea. And Terry had talked to me that I was going to meet one of her co-workers who she said was very harsh individual. Very unkind individual. Now, Terry had been able to work with her well over the 10 years. But Terry shared that this woman had bullied and harassed the youngest team member they had. There was a group of 4 people that worked together. So I go to the tea, and this gal comes and stands beside me and says, "Hi, I'm so-and-so, and I am a B." Only she said it right out loud. She labeled herself. And then she proceeded, in front of me and everyone else standing around her, to berate and cut down anyone that was in her space. So she was living out the word she'd called herself. You know, I had great empathy for her, because rather than risk going inside to see what caused that personality effect of hers, or, you know, her personality character, she just said, "This is who I am, and take me or leave me." But she demanded the center stage. And I was truly grateful for Unity's teachings. Truly grateful. And I want to read some words from the author of Ask Yourself This. It says, "We in Unity, and in all New Thought for that matter, believe that humankind, all of it, is inherently good, not inherently flawed. We believe that the spark of the divine, the God presence, indwells in each and every one of us. We didn't put it there, God did, and we can't get rid of it, thank God. However, we can hide it, ignore it, cover it up, or dumb it down. Many years ago, I read the following quote by an American poet and diplomat, James R. Lowell. And it's something that has stayed with me and I draw upon. And it says, "The surest plan to make a man is think him so. The surest plan to make a man is think him so." So when I start to judge and see someone as incapable, needing my assistance because they're not doing it right, or gee, they're not strong enough to do it right, they haven't got the fortitude, I'm learned to pause and say, the surest way is to think them so. So then I see him or her as whole and perfect and at the right and perfect place on their spiritual journey right now, no matter where it is, even if they're not aware, because I know that that awareness is there and it's just waiting to be found. So, do we hold somebody hostage? Is it time to see them differently? To see the inherent good within them? The next question to help you improve your relationships is, how safe is it for people to walk through the corridors of your mind? I laughed when I read that question. I went, whoa, sure glad they didn't ask this years ago, because now you might have a much safer journey. But how safe is it for people to walk the corridors of your mind? What they're referring to in this question is your your inside voice comments about others, the things you say to yourself about other people. Because remember, this is about improving relationships with others. And we're looking at our side of any relationship to see, do we need to do some improvement? So this is about what are you saying in the quiet of your mind when you're looking at someone. Now, if I said to you, we're going to wire you up, and those quiet voices that only you hear are going to be over a loudspeaker, over a PA system, what would you do? Would you run and hide? Or would you be calm and peaceful? So, even if it's not played over a loudspeaker, I want to say that people feel our thoughts, the energy of our thoughts. And the Institute of Heart Math has shown that an electromagnetic field produced through the heart can be detected as much as 5 feet away from that person. So we don't have to say it in words. Just think about that. Think about that. Don't have to say it in words. So what are the quiet thoughts in your mind that you say to yourself about others? And how are those thoughts impacting their relationship? How are those thoughts having you act within that relationship? So you might want to take a journey through the corridors in your mind. The next question is, do I have a full picture? Do I have the full picture of what's happening? And I want to share a story with you. There was a business lady, taking a flight home from a meeting, and she stopped in the little store on the concourse, and she picked herself up a Kit Kat bar, and she just threw it in her purse. And then she went and sat down, waiting to be called to get on the plane, board the plane. And she looked over at the gentleman sitting beside her and noticed he was eating a Kit Kat bar. And she looked down, and there's a Kit Kat bar open between the two of them. And her first thought was, he reached into my open purse and took my Kit Kat bar. Now, what would you think about that man at that moment? What are you thinking about him? Well, what she thought, she didn't say, but what she did was she reached over to the open bar that he was eating from, broke off a piece, and started to eat the Kit Kat bar. And she remembered he had really kind of looked at her. And so, okay, That was what she did. She ate the bar, helped him eat the bar. So she gets on the plane and she's shoving her purse under the seat in front of her. And remember, the purse is open. And she looks down, and in a side pocket, she sees her Kit Kat bar. Now, all of a sudden she realized that man was not eating her Kit Kat bar. He was eating the bar he had bought. And then she knew she'd reached over and broke off a piece of his bar, and she ate it. Now what do you think about that gentleman? Now what do you think about him? You see, so often we don't have the full picture before we jump in with both feet. We make assumptions. We're sure we know where they're going with this conversation. We're sure they know what they're looking for from us. And we just jump in. And have you ever done that? And they kind of look at you and go, what are you talking about? That's not what I'm talking about. So in your relationship, before you react, do you have the full picture? Do you need to be asking more questions? Do you need to be listening without expecting what you're going to hear? Listen to understand. So how many things do we miss in relationships because we don't know the full picture? The next question was one I had never heard before. And so it is, how do we improve our relationships? By asking the question, how do I show up when I get a no? How do I show up when I ask something and I'm expecting a yes answer and they say no? How do I handle the no's? So I'm going to give you some situations and let you think about it. So the first one is, you and your partner have planned to go out for supper for the evening. So you've chose the restaurant. You tell your partner the restaurant you've got bookings at, and your partner looks at you and says, oh, I don't want to eat that tonight. That's not at all what I want. I want this. No, we're not going there. How do you show up when you get a no? Next one is, you go to your boss, you put in your vacation request, and the boss says, oh, no, sorry, no. Got too many people gone then. You're going to have to pick another time. How do you show up? Because how you show up in these situations gives you an opportunity to just look at, where have I grown? Where may I still need to grow in these relationships when I hear no? It's an opportunity to grow. And the one I thought of was, you go to return something and the sales clerk looks at you and says, I have no doubt you bought it here, but we don't give refunds without the receipt. So no refund. And you know, but you're not saying you threw the receipt out. How do you handle no? So, interesting question. I'm going to do some work on that one. Now, the next question is, what yardstick am I using? What yardstick am I using? Now, here's where I don't have the full picture. I read this question and I say, what yardstick am I using to compare myself to see how much I've grown? Well, that's not the question at all. What yardstick am I using? So when I read on, I discovered it's, what yardstick am I using? Oh, to measure other people. What yardstick am I using to measure other people? Do you measure them by how much money they make? Do you measure them by where they live? Do you measure them by their education? Do you measure them by if you like them or not? Or do you measure them by who they voted for? I want to share a poem with you. It's entitled You or Me, and the author is unknown. When the other person acts that way, it's ugly. When you do it, it's just nervousness. When she's set in her ways, she's obstinate. When you are, it's firmness. When he doesn't like your friends, he's prejudiced. When you don't like his friends, you're showing good judgment. When she tries to be accommodating, she's apple polishing. But when you do it, you're using tact. When he takes time to do things, he's dead slow. When you take ages, you are deliberate. When she picks flaws, she's cranky. When you do it, you're discriminating. Take time to check what yardstick you are using to measure others by. Good questions open up the world to us. The questions that ask yourself are opening up the world inside us. I'm going to close with a poem by Mary Oliver. It's called The Journey. One day you finally knew what you had to do and began. Though the voices around you kept shouting their bad advice. Though the whole house began to tremble and you felt the old tug at your ankles. Mend my life, each voice cried. But you didn't stop. You knew what you had to do. Though the wind pried with its stiff fingers at the very foundations, though their melancholy was terrible, it was already late enough and a wild night, and the road full of fallen branches and stones. But little by little, as you left their voice behind, the stars began to burn through the sheets of clouds, and there was a new voice which you slowly recognized as your own, that kept you company as you strode deeper and deeper into the world, determined to do the only thing you could do, determined to save the only life that you could save. And so it is. We will have our pre-meditation song and then go into meditation.
In the stillness of the moment, there is peace. There is peace. In the stillness of the moment, there is peace. There is peace. And I rest, trust, breathe, and know that in the stillness of the moment there is peace. In the stillness of the moment there is peace. There is peace. In the stillness of the moment there is peace. There is peace. And I rest, trust, breathe, and know that in the stillness of the moment there is peace.
Become aware of your breath. Follow its inhale and exhale as it moves easily throughout your body. With each breath, allow yourself to relax and release any concerns or tensions. With deepening awareness of your life-sustaining breath, you move quietly into the stillness. May these words resonate as your own. In the stillness, I turn to the divine light within and become open and receptive to inspiring ideas for my life. In this awareness, I understand all that is mine to do, and follow through with ease, grace, and perfect timing. I go forward to abundant living, confident of God's love and wisdom within me. In the silence, I am open and receptive. In the silence, I am. Returning our awareness to our physical body and the physical space we occupy. We retain the spacious, glorious awareness of God. Breathing together at the close of our meditation time, in gratitude and faithful expectation, we begin this day with heart and mind refreshed. And so it is.
Welcome back. Did you enjoy that version of Alleluia? That's Michael Drislane playing the piano for Unity of Victoria, and he pre-recorded that so that we could sing along with his beautiful, beautiful playing. Thank you, Pat, for bringing your insights and your wisdom and your perspectives and your stories. You've really given me a lot to think about and done it in a way that's really inviting and gentle. So I really appreciate that. Well, you know, one of the blessings actually of this time is that even though Pat lives in Saskatoon, that we can have her with us here on Sundays. Recently I've been thinking about all the ways that I've grown and new things that have been brought into my life, new possibilities because of the year that we've just been through. And certainly having Pat still be part of our spiritual community is one of those. So you are invited to connect with your Unity family. You can do this 2 times a week. On Sundays at 11:30, you can come on to the Zoom chat room and see and hear from your Unity family. On Fridays at 10:30, you can also use the same Zoom link. And we have really rich discussions. Often it is a follow-up on the topic from the Sunday. And then, of course, it just leads wherever it leads. And I'm always uplifted after I spend some time with that group on Fridays. So I'd like you to think for a moment, what blessing have you received this past week? Just take a moment and bring that to mind. And now, how have you been a blessing to someone this week? Let's take a moment and bring that to mind. We are in the flow of abundance. We know that giving and receiving is the same door to experience prosperity in all its forms. So holding this in your heart and your mind, would you please join me in the affirmation? Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. Amen. Have a wonderful week. And now please join me in the peace song. Namaste. There are 2 opportunities each week to stay connected with your Unity friends. Every Sunday at 11:30, you can join in our fellowship call. Every Friday at 10:30, you can join in spiritual exploration, following up on the topic of the Sunday talk. Use the same Zoom link for both of these. You will find it in the weekly newsletter. You can also email us at info@unitycomoxvalley.com and send a thought of the day or a song request or subscribe to our weekly newsletter. Stay connected.